2, 1. Welcome back, everyone. This is Tech. I'm Garrett, here as always with Jocelyn. How you doing, bud?
I'm feeling even happier and perkier than normal. So I'm having a great day.
You having a good day? I'm glad you're having a good day, Jocelyn. I'm having a good day, too. What a good day, too. Everyone I've been talking to about Hearthstone has something new. Like they have something I am not currently doing in Hearthstone that they want me to go and try. A lot of them are different decks, but like there's also like different decks in Wild. and I've had a lot of conversations that have ended in there's just too much awesome in Hearthstone right now. There's a lot of things to do. All Reddit really wants to do is make shaman memes, but that's okay. At least they're like...
That's Reddit, though.
They're aiming it at memes. Like, at least they're having fun with it. You know, they're making jokes. I have a feeling a message from a certain community manager might have done something to instill just a little bit of patience in the Hearthstone community. And we're going to have to continue that patience because you and I have been slamming the F5 key so much. I don't know what finger you used to hit F5, but my index finger is bruised. I don't know why I felt the need to specify that. But...
it's very important.
It is. I've just been, I expect in, let's call it historical Angry Chicken fashion, because frankly, we've been lucky most of 2019. Most big Hearthstone news tends to break Tuesday morning. And we're like, all right, we get to cover it on the show. But I think we're going to get some historical tack luck this week. And the second you and I are done recording, we're going to find out what balance updates are coming to the game.
That sounds about right. And that's par for the 2018 and previous Angry Chicken recordings for sure. I know I personally took basically all day Sunday just jamming shaman matches on ladder because the nerfs were potential, or I guess the fact that they were going to do something was announced late last week and they said next week. And so I was like, well, of course that's going to be on Tuesday. I better make sure that I give this a try before they nerf it into the ground. So I was a degenerate shaman player. And and then now we're sitting here on Tuesday going, Blizzard. Oh my God.
Hey guys,
Judge
it's
Judying it up in here.
It's Nerf o'clock.
Exactly.
I'm looking at my wrist, which doesn't have a watch on it. I don't like watches. And it's Nerf o'clock. It's half past Nerf o'clock, everybody. I'm okay with it again. Because I'm kind of like playing the deck, but yeah. So we've got an awesome show for you today, everybody. We got a new segment. We figured we would try our hand at putting Battlegrounds in a segment. All our Battlegrounds talk is going to happen in a specific segment dedicated to Battlegrounds, which means, Jocelyn, you know what this means. Yes.
What does this mean, Garrett?
It means a new bumper. It has been a very, very, very long time since the Angry Chicken has gotten a new bumper. It does not mean a new show. We made that mistake with Tavern
Yes,
Brawl. We're never
Brawl,
doing that again.
Yeah.
Probably never doing that again. But yeah, so we're going to do that. But we wanted to start the show just talking about what the hell we've been playing, because we've had our first official week with Descent of Dragons, and there's so many new archetypes on the block. So let's rip the Shaman Band-Aid off first, because I know we both have been playing, as you put it, degenerate shaman decks. I would like to just say we've just been wanting to play the best deck. It's also
so I decided to play it because I knew it was going to get nerfed, and I wanted to have an informed opinion when we came to the show this week. I didn't want to just jump in, be playing some stuff that was weak to shaman, getting a whole bunch of shaman matchups and being like, oh, I hate this deck, blah blah blah, much like I did with Cube Warlock. Because they were so quick to jump on the nerfs, I wanted to be able to have a very informed, intelligent conversation about it instead of just getting kind of all ragey. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna play as much of this deck as I can find time to play. So I got 45 games in on Galakron Shaman, and I can say now I agree with them with how quickly they're moving on this, because it does feel like it is very unbalanced at this point in time. And I am a little bit surprised that it made it to the live game. And I'm not really like angry about that, because I know a lot of people are angry about that. But with Galakron in general, that's like their flagship, one of their flagship things that we all got it for free, right? So we've got one of their flagships of Descent of Dragons that is like far and away more powerful than what the other four are doing. So, I mean, I'm glad they're fixing it quickly. I'm a little surprised that it made it out in its current state, but I am glad that they're kind of fixing it within the first week and a half of its release, because I do think after playing it for a while, I was getting to the point where, so my overall win rate over those 45 games was 75%. And so I lost 11 matches, and it was, I think, one hunter, one warlock, and all the rest were mirror matches that I lost. Everybody else, I was just rolling over. And I also can tell when a deck is probably overpowered, because I'm not a pro player, right? So if I'm sitting there trying to learn a new deck and I'm not necessarily getting all of my plays in the right order, I'm not positioning my minions optimally, then if I'm still getting wins like consistently all the way through, even though I'm not playing optimally, I can very comfortably say that Galakrond Shaman is much, much, much too powerful in its current state. So I agree with them getting in there. I'm glad they're doing it quickly, but I am a little bit surprised that it's, I mean, look at all those green numbers, and they're big green numbers, man.
Yeah. For the audio audience, I've got some matchup win rates, courtesy of HS Replay, up for the video audience. And it's very green. Very, very green. The first thing that pops to mind is basically a 50% win rate against Quest Hunter. And I think there's no red at all, and a 50% win rate against its own damn archetype, Galakrond Shaman. Yeah. It is worth pointing out, Joss, that when stats websites like HS Replay first had like a day's worth of statistics to look at, and I'm using HS Replay because that's one we'd like to use here on the Angry Chicken as an example. When you went to their meta page, Galakrond Shaman was at the top the very first day with. When I first saw it, it was like 69.7%.
I was going to say it was basically 70%.
Almost 70%. Yeah. And since then, today, as of recording this, it has dropped drastically to only a 60% win rate, basically. Still very high. Still ridiculous how good its matchup is across the board. Yeah, I would like to. I'm glad that you kind of brought your. Well, I'm not a pro player, so I know even when I'm misplaying, it's clearly a strong deck. I mean, I would temper that with. I think we're all not pro players right now because these are all new archetypes as far as we're all concerned. But I had a very similar experience. But Jocelyn, I would like to bring my very unique take to this, which is I, as you know it, have been confirmed by multiple sources to be the unluckiest player in Hearthstone.
It's true.
And so I would like to say that this deck is mortal. It can draw very badly. and I had that happen back to back today in multiple games. I went on the first losing streak with this deck today, and it was because of some very, very poor draws. It reminded me of playing like Mech Mage, how bad my draws were.
Well, and I think that, although, yes, that is a good point, but I think any deck can draw poorly. So I don't necessarily know if that's something that you can put as like a tick against this deck, because I find the losses that I did have, particularly against the Hunter and the Warlock, and especially in the mirror match, the winning and losing came down to me absolutely bricking my draw and them getting the nuts. So it's like if it takes them getting essentially their perfect draw combined with me drawing poorly, then that's a way too powerful deck. Those are conditions that shouldn't have to be met in order to have a good match. So yeah, I still think that whatever they're going to do with these nerfs, Galakrond Shaman definitely needs some looking at.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just trying to bring something vaguely unique to the conversation because all anyone wants to talk about right now is how completely busted the deck is. So I just want to remind folks out there, if for some reason we actually make it a day or two past the posting of this episode and Galakrond Shaman hasn't been nerfed and maybe you haven't tried it and want to go try it out, just know like kind of your biggest, most likely chance of failure is exceptionally poor draws. I also, in part of what happened today in my losing streak was also I hit a wave of aggro hunters. And I haven't seen a lot of places highlighting this deck, and I also haven't really seen it breaching a lot of meta lists. But there is an aggro hunter that is running toxic reinforcements, by the way, Jocelyn.
Yes, I know.
I am starting to think we grossly underestimated because I got rolled up. absolutely rolled up by this list as a Galakron Shaman 2 games in a row. Now, granted, both those games I drew less than wonderfully. I basically didn't draw any of my invoke cards, which is kind of the death knell for that.
Well, and especially against that hunter deck. I mean, it is so fast. It is so in your face that you basically have to be looking like, even if you board clear, because when you're board clearing, you're still going to take damage because of those toxic reinforcements. But you basically need to clear the board every time and also like have your life drinkers, because they can't really get through taunts. They can't really deal with you if you heal too much. So, I mean, kind of getting your healing, which also includes your Galakron. There's a lot of there's some things that this Shaman deck can do to stand against this aggro hunter. But if the Galakron Shaman doesn't mulligan for and get their kind of taunts, healing, and armor online, then yeah, this will pretty much end the game by turn 5 or 6. So you may not even, if you don't have your life drinkers and you can't put the shield of Galakron on the board on turn 5, then yeah, you're probably toast.
Most likely.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It's another one I just wanted to make sure we highlighted today, because it's not showing up in the matchup screen if you're looking on HS Replay. But if you go find an example of this archetype and then scroll down to see the matchups, it's actually close to a 50% win rate, which still absurd when we're talking about how many.
Well, yeah, it's taking basically like almost 10% off of the win rate of Galakron Shaman in general, right? So if you can bring a matchup down and have that 10% swing in your favor, then that's better. And the reason why, so right now we're seeing this aggro hunter. I really don't think that we're going to see it post nerf, only because right now with the prevalence of Galakron Shaman, when I was playing, I ended up facing 36 or 37% total Shaman decks. Versus like the next closest class was like 14%, I think. And that might have actually been Hunter. So I think that right now, because Shamans are making up such a huge portion of the ladder, you very much can either tech your deck against Shaman, or you can play a deck like Aggro Hunter that very specifically targets Shaman, because so much of the ladder is Shaman decks and is Galakron Shaman. So you kind of, if you lose more against other decks, you don't really care as much, because Rob, like 4 times out of 10, maybe more, you're going to queue into Galakron Shaman. Like every time you hit that button, you have a 40% chance of hitting a Shaman. So yeah, you can, this is one of the times on ladder that you can target one specific deck very effectively, because it's so prevalent. Like normally on ladder, you can't pick a tech deck like Aggro Hunter, but you can right now. So I don't expect to see it post nerf, but for right now, it's a very viable choice if you're looking to climb fast and are seeing a lot of Shamans, which pretty much everyone's seeing a lot of Shamans. I went from 19 to 7 because it had been that long since I played rank, because I'd been messing around in Battlegrounds, and 19 to 7 just whoosh. And I had like a few of my losses in a row came at like rank 11, and I was just seeing Shaman after Shaman after Shaman. So it was kind of coin flippy. So I was kind of going one up, one down, one up, one down, one up, one down. And once I got past there, it was just like win, 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 win. It was kind of gross. So yes, I'm sorry to everyone who's playing Hearthstone on Sunday. I was part of the problem.
Yeah. And so like, let's real quick before we move on and talk about other archetypes, like what do you think is going to get targeted? Because there's so many potential offenders here that I think are going to get that are on the table for sure.
In Galakron Shaman specifically?
Yes.
So I would say probably the Corrupt Elementalist. I think that maybe should go up to 7, if not even 8 mana. It is way undercosted at 5 because there's no stipulation, right? Like you just always are going to get the 2/2/1 rushers as well as the 3/3 body, and it's a battle cry. So I mean,
and it's a 5 mana. Although that you know why that scares me already? I already want to apply the brakes because Corrupt Elementalist is already a 5 mana minion, and I'm mutating it up to a 6. So if it gets higher true. Cost. But you're right.
I was going to say, yeah, Mutate is kind of interesting, right? Because Mutate's been in the game for a while. Mutate is not a new card. It's Rise of Shadows, right? So I mean, well, a while, like what, 6-8 months.
It's worth pointing out Rise of Shadows though, because it means mutate is still going to be around for an entire
next year,
another year in standard Hearthstone.
Exactly. But I think like mutate is one of those problematic cards in that, like, I mean, it's this whole evolve thing that you were talking about, how much you hated playing on ladder before the evolve card rotated back out again during the event. It's like, it's so swingy that unless you put some real duds and, you know, like a lot of them in the kind of in every mana slot, really, then, you know, like it basically more often than not high rolls, and it's 0 mana, which means you can do it any turn. And because combining that alongside with the Mogu Flesh Shaper, which is also kind of, it's not problematic in and of itself, but it is when combined with mutate. So I think mutate might be something that they look at, though I don't know how they really go about changing that card. But yeah, just mutate and evolve effects in general are really swingy, feels bad RNG moments. So I don't know if they'll touch it, but I think they probably should, because I think some of the changes that need to be made to the shaman specific cards do involve making them cost more. And if you're making them cost more, then you're totally right. Mutate needs to be taken into that equation. So without mutate, I would say absolutely make this a 7 or 8 mana card. Corrupt Elementalist specifically, make that a 7 or 8 mana card. But you're right, with the existence of mutate, changing mana cost isn't just the go-to thing you can do, right? So I mean, even if they made mutate cost 1 or 2, I still think it would be like the high roll potential is just there. Maybe if it costs 2, maybe if we take mutate from a 0 to a 2, that would be okay. Or if it had an overload, or yeah, Leon, thank you. That's also a good suggestion, is make mutate free, but overload or something. Or even if you added overload to the Corrupt Elementalist, something. There needs to be some sort of mana fix.
I could
right now it's way too cheap.
Putting Corrupt Elementalist up to 6 and giving it an overload of 1 would be really interesting, because then it would kind of deal with the probably what I think the biggest issue of Corrupt Elementalist is right now, which is how nicely it fits into your curve to get Galakron out on 7 and for it to be a fully upgraded Galakron on 7.
Yeah, I can 100% agree with that. It's it just Corrupt Elementalist, because it's invoking it twice is really interesting too, because you're basically able to upgrade your Galakron so quickly, because Corrupt Elementalist itself is a strong card. So you're playing a strong card to make the card that makes your deck go even stronger, even faster. And it just like, it's too much strength all in one kind of Galakron combo. Like the Galakron package in Shaman is just way, way, way too powerful. And I mean, even Invocation of Frost, which I think is probably fine. I don't think they need to touch it. Freezing an enemy and invoking Galakron is fine. It's just that when it's combined with everything else, it starts to really spiral out of control and get crazy. When it comes to Galakron himself, I would probably say maybe change those the storms, the hero power ones, the 2 ones. Maybe if you change those to 1/1s, because then they're still more powerful than, say, the Paladin like default hero power, because you do want it to be special, right? It's an expansion. It's a theme within that expansion. It's a major mechanic. So you want them to be heroic and interesting and different. And I think summoning a 1/1 with Rush is enough to make it different from Paladin, so that you don't feel like you're just, you know, moving from a normal or a Shaman hero power to a Paladin hero power. Like they still do something else with the Rush. I just think the 2 attack is way too much, because you can basically clear the whole board just with invoking Galakrons. So it's it's a little bit much. So I think maybe changing those, and then also maybe even going as far as changing his battle cry. So they start as 2/2s, then they go 4/4s, then they go 8/8s, right?
Yep.
But because you can invoke so quickly and you can power him up, you almost always are getting 8/8s. I would say make those like 2/2s, 3/3s, 4/4s. That's probably plenty.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, even if we're considering like a 6/6 or something of that nature, some kind of
like 6/6 is as high as I would go, but the 8/8s 9 times out of 10, I can trade with my 8/8 regardless of what they've put on their side of the board, and it survives with 2 or 3 health. which is absolutely nuts. Because then they still have to deal that damage to that 8/8 somehow. And I mean, I'm running Shudderwalk. So, okay, you've cleared my 2 8/8s. Well, guess what? I'm going to get them again because I'm going to play Shudderwalk. So, yeah, have fun.
Yeah, your only risk there is having invoked so many times that your battle cries might not happen in the correct order and you won't get your 8/8s again. Like,
oh, boo.
You still end up with a board full of
2-1s.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. And you usually also end up with a copy of, at least one copy of Shudderwalk because of the Faceless Corruptors, which granted is a neutral card that a lot of people are playing right now. I'm looking at Faceless Corruptor just like, ooh, you remind me of Giggling Inventor back when it was cheap.
Yeah, that was the next. I kind of wanted to cover Shaman first, but I think that the Faceless Corruptor probably is going to get, again, I don't know if it's going to be a mana boost or a stat nerf, but either way, I do think Faceless Corruptor might see some change. I don't expect it to see too big of a change because, I mean, he's getting played in a lot of decks, but so is Ziliax. They said they were happy having neutral cards that have high play rates, and they just don't want them to be kind of everywhere all of the time, which right now Corrupt Elementalist is everywhere all of the time, mostly or pretty much regardless of what deck you're playing, with the possible exception of some of the extremely aggressive decks. But if you're not extremely aggressive, if you're going control, you're going tempo, you're going combo, like anything, these basically find a place. They're just everywhere. So I think that the Corruptor is going to see a change as well. But like you mentioned, same as the Corrupt Elementalist, when you're talking mana cost increases, you do have to keep Mutate in mind. So maybe the nerfs that we see kind of across the board that are going to impact Shaman, maybe they won't have anything to do with mana cost. Maybe it's going to be changing the way those cards work. Although obviously Faceless Corruptor, you can't do something like add Overload because it is a neutral card. Yeah. But yeah, I don't want to. That's another one.
Yeah, I don't want to focus on Mutate too much. I just thought it was a point worth bringing up.
Oh no, it totally is.
So much of this though is how these all fit into a curve.
Yes,
which is so like, I think it's a fun little factoid is like, oh, as you increase the mana cost of things, you potentially increase a bigger blowout from Mutate, but it's all relative, right? Like a Corrupt Elemental is coming out later, even if you have a chance of a better roll on a Mutate, it's kind of irrelevant because the guaranteed, the more often than not value out of this is getting your Corrupt Elementalist out as soon as possible. So if we can make that happen less often or have it kind of mess up your curve through something like an Overload, that's where I start to get interested in a potential change. So yeah, it's basically, we have done what I wanted to accomplish, which is kind of point out a lot of where the power is coming from. And am I weird that I like Faceless Corruptor? Like very quickly, I've kind of gotten used to it because so many people are playing it. And yes, it does feel powerful to, in a turn, essentially develop 2/5/4s that can impact the board the turn they play it. But since everyone can do it, I'm kind of like, it's fine. Like this is the card where my brain goes into where we spent a lot of time during card reveal season, where we were just like, there's just so much power. It's kind of hard to assess it. And now we're here and I look at Faceless Corruptor being like, yeah, it's powerful. But so is a lot of the other stuff that's happening.
Yeah, and that is true. I think you're right about the neutral argument that everyone can do it. And then it just comes into the argument of like, well, how prolific is it? And is that something you want to change? And it's the Ziliax problem, right? Or the Giggling Inventor problem, is that they were so good, everyone was playing them. And do you want Hearthstone to essentially be, here's my Faceless Corruptor deck with 28 other cards? And that's kind of, I think, where they have to look at game design to decide if that's okay. And if that's what they want, which it seems like that might be because of Ziliax, because he never received a change. But I mean, Faceless Corruptor right now is even being run in that slot instead of Ziliax in a lot of decks. It's just taken over that kind of powerful neutral piece of a lot of decks. So I'm kind of on the fence. It might not hit this round, but I think it's worth kind of noting that this is a very powerful card. It's neutral. It's all over the place. They may not change it this time. Might wait and see. But yeah, I do think it's part of the conversation. And I think outside of Shaman, Necrium Apothecary is also one that might be on the docket to be changed, because That thing has basically created like Quest Rogue 5.0. Like, how many iterations are we on Quest Rogue now? This is basically doing the same thing.
It's pretty crazy. And I also wanted to mention Dragon's Pack, but we only have so much time to do an episode. That's another big one for me. I bet they're looking at the additional stats if you've invoked twice, the +3/+3. I bet they're looking at that. Let's talk about Necrium Apothecary and Death Rattle Rogue, or if you're a Tempo Storm fan, they're referring to it as Tempo Rogue.
Yeah, it kind of could go either way. But basically the idea around this deck is that you have your, what are they called? The 9 mana card with the give everything in your hand +3/+3. Oh man.
Oh yeah, it's not on this list.
It's not on this list.
It's on some. I think the Tempo Storm one had it. Let me
okay.
I'll find it.
Yeah, sorry about that. I linked the wrong one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Tempo Storm list had it, and I was just looking at it because I was taking it for a spin right before the show. Anubiseth Warbringer, thank you so much.
Anubiseth, yeah, that's it. Perfect. So it has the Warbringer, which has a death rattle that gives your hand.
Tempo Storm isn't running it either.
Man, well then they're doing it wrong because this deck is ridiculous. The Anubiseth the Warbringer is a very, very expensive card. It costs 9 mana. It says Death Rattle, give the minions in your hand +3/+3. So basically what this deck does is it runs the Apothecaries, which gain a Death Rattle, and then it essentially turns everything in your hand into, you just have these massive stats on these super cheap minions. And it very much is like Quest Rogue when, you're dropping all of these 1 mana, like 5/4 charging pirates and stuff. Like it's gross. And then, you get the buff the first time because the Apothecary also draws it out of your deck, right? So you've got like the buff the first time, you still have the Warbringers you can play, though it never goes that long. Like, man, it can get really out of hand really, really quickly. So yeah, it's quite the deck.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning, I think, the versions that don't run this. My anecdotal experience is that I murdered basically every rogue that pulled an Anubiseth Defender over a Death Rattle that would have impacted the game that turn.
Well, you also have the Anka, the Buried, which once you draw your Anubiseths, then you can basically play them as 1/1s and get kill them really quickly and get all those death rattles too. So I mean, like
or combo it with because now it's 1 mana. You can combo it with a Necrium Vial or a Necrium Blade.
Yes. Yeah.
There's all kinds of cute things you can do there. But the Tempo Storm version, and I think also the version you linked in the show notes, is running Mechanical Whelp, which can spawn
soul crushing.
Can spawn so many 7/7s. You're gonna feel like a shaman that just dropped Galakron and is missing 1/1 of stats and rush.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh wait, that's still more broken. But the thing is, you can get more 7/7s than might feel fair if things kind of go your way.
And earlier in the game, right? Because you've got your Necrium Apothecaries, only 4 mana. So these things kind of start snowballing around turn 4-5, and that gets really crazy really quick. So yeah,
this is the archetype that everyone has their eye on.
I think if Shaman is less prevalent, this deck is just going to go nuts.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my God. This version's even running freaking Magic Carpet. Oh my Lord.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah. I can't remember which. I've been doing a lot of research on this deck. I wish I could remember which website it was, but their writer used the version with Magic Carpet specifically to reach Legend and write the guide for it. Darn it, I'm going to have to dig back up. I didn't think we were going to dig this deep.
Well, because basically when you're playing the Magic Carpet and assuming you've got a Death Rattle buff, then you could play a 1 mana Pharaoh Cat that's going to be a 4/5, a 5/5 with Rush when you've got the Magic Carpet. It is tempo-y, so if they can keep clearing your board, then obviously it's less effective. But you've also got since you've got the fly booter, the Blood Sail Fly Booter, the 1/1 pirates, the 2/1/1 pirates that get added to your hand are 1-cost minions as well. So you can, buff those up once you get your death rattle online, and then, pair those with the magic carpet. Like there's just so many crazy tempo swings in this deck that, man, it can get really out of control. So I very much expect, if they don't touch Necrium Apothecary, I very much expect these different versions to basically take over ladder. Like I think Rogue is in a really good position because the Necrium Blade and the Necrium Vial, giving them the ability to trigger those death rattles too, means that stuff they can do a lot of very crazy tempo swings very early in the game. So I could see them bumping that one up some mana.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, before we kind of get lost in the weeds here, some other decks that we kind of wanted to make, notice of is I'm really excited about Pirate Warrior. And frankly, like if you can take anything away, I think from the top of the show conversation we're having right now, Joss, and folks at home, it's like, do not discount aggro. It is not, getting the spotlight that Shaman and Rogue are getting right now, and also even crazier things like Highlander only Paladin card, Paladin decks, and all the dragon archetypes you could ever possibly think of. I mean, my God, every time I tune into Brian Kibler, he just has the silliest smile on his face. I feel like we're living in Brian Kibler's best life right now. There's so much going on, but there are some really, really solid aggro decks that have come out of this. And I wish more people were talking about them, because they just have, if they draw, they have the potential, I think, to really just kind of run over damn near anything on the ladder right now. And I personally went into this expansion really excited about Pirate Warrior. I messed around with some pirate aggro.
That was like our day one deck is what we were looking at, was Pirate Warrior and how to build it. Yeah,
mine went in too many different directions, because I also tried to fit Galakron in there, because I was like, well, Galakron is aggressive in that it's giving you attack value, but it was too much. It was pulling the archetype in too many different directions. But the one I've really landed on is the most popular Pirate Warrior archetype right now. If you're looking on HS Replay, it's very pirate forward, and it does work. It is hyper aggressive, can land some really like gross turn after turn plays thanks to Sky Barge, or if you draw your Ankar. And like the upside of drawing Ankar early and being able to re-equip it through Horde Pillager is kind of nasty. It has the potential to get a lot of gas. Now that's the high end. That's kind of like finding your Keleseth on curve. But it can definitely get there without it. So give that a shot. Don't discount the new face hunter, I guess we'll call it. Even though it's spawning so many leper gnomes through a side quest I discounted, I don't even know if I would call it face hunter, because it's just damaging your face by just being there. It's not even actively going for your face, because it's spawning so many damn leper gnomes. So it's insane. And then you also have been enjoying Secret Highlander Hunter.
Yeah, the Secret Highlander Hunter is quite an interesting deck. I mean, it's a Highlander deck, so it has a lot of space for a lot of different things, but I've seen this deck just kind of just go off. Like, it's doing some really, really cool things, and there's some substitutions, like some people are playing Pressure Plate instead of Deadly Shot, or vice versa, and obviously Pressure Plate gives you a little bit more secret synergy, but Deadly Shot is a little bit easier to basically use when you want to. So yeah, I mean, I've seen this deck play really, really well, and they also the Primordial Explorer, which is the 3 mana 2/3 poisonous discover a dragon card that Hunter got with this expansion. Man, that is so good. It's good every time. It can discover itself. Like, I've seen these Highlander decks that are supposed to not have this kind of synergy just go like Primordial Explorer, Primordial Explorer, Primordial Explorer, and I'm like, man, you are just like, all the trades that I'm trying to do right now are not working out in my favor because of this stupid freaking poisonous dragon that keeps finding itself.
Yeah. I mean, while we were doing, we don't do a wrap up at the end because just the episodes go so long. But when we were doing the episodes through card reveal season, had we done one, I would have said Primordial Explorer is the best Explorer card out of all the classes.
It is, yeah.
And it certainly seems to be the case. So yeah,
very much so. Crazy. And they're also finding a place, because they are running Unleash the Hounds. So they're finding a place for Virenus, which is the 6-mana 7/6 dragon. Battle cry, change all the health of all enemy minions to 1, which is the it's basically equality and baked into a dragon, but only affects your enemy. And so yeah, the fact that they're finding a place for that and then using Unleash the Hounds to help clear up the board. I mean, Hunter needed a very strong board clear, and this is absolute insanity. So I'm glad that they're kind of finding their footing in a couple of different ways. So yeah, and then plus, I mean, they get to use Dino Tamer Bran, they get to use Dragon Queen Alexstrasza. Dragon Queen Alexstrasza is very powerful. So yeah, there's a lot of fun to be had outside of Shaman in the expansion right now, and these things are powerful enough to at least compete with the Shaman right now.
Yeah, make it the second guess. It's surety in its win. So, anyways, we got links to all the deck lists we just talked about. If you're not already, using it or a fan, we are big fans of HS Replay. We are not sponsored. We just really like their website. So, anyways, before we get into this week's news, a couple of things. We want to thank our patrons for supporting us. If you like this show, if you want to support the Angry Chicken, the best way to do so is go to patreon.com/TAC. And we just launched our ad-free Patreon RSS feed. So if you sign up to be a patron at any level, doesn't matter how much you're giving to the Angry Chicken, you're going to get access to this, and you can add it to your podcatcher, so you automatically get new ad-free episodes of the Angry Chicken as if you were subscribed to the regular feed just on the store of whatever podcatcher you're using. So check it out, patreon.com/TAC. We would really appreciate the support, everybody. And this week, we'd like to thank our most recent patrons, Bentrick Bryant, Michael Weeder, and Robert Wu. Thank you for the support. However, we do still have ads, so let's take a quick break. Hey everyone, taking a quick minute to thank today's sponsor, Quip Electric Toothbrushes. We are chest deep in the holidays. Luckily, your gift can start next year's good habit with Quip. It's dental care your loved ones will actually want to use. And it's a thoughtful and practical gift. They have an electric toothbrush, refillable floss, and toothpaste. The Quip electric toothbrush has sensitive sonic vibrations and a timer with 30-second pulses to guide your routine, while the floss dispenser has pre-marked strings, so you'll always use the right amount. Plus, Quip delivers brush heads, floss, and toothpaste refills every 3 months. Join over 3 million happy customers and check everyone off your gift list right now. I did exactly that. I bought one for my wife, and it's on its way right now. I hope Katie isn't listening. Anyways, all you need to do is go to getquip.com/TAC to save on gift sets and get your first refill free with a refill plan. That's right, your first refill free at getquip.com/TAC. That's getquip.com/TAC.
Hit it very hard.
Wanna blow something up? Time to pay.
I hit the wrong thing. That was the strategy bumper.
I thought so. I was like, okay, just screw
that's
news.
Interesting. It says news on my soundboard, and somehow it got replaced by strategy, which means it's named correctly, but the file itself is wrong. Good news, everyone. Anyways, we, Jocelyn, you and I have done hours upon hours of over 2-hour episodes for weeks now because card reveal season is hard on our sleep cycle and voices and throat. So we haven't had a chance to talk about the 6.0.3 update. Well, that one, let's see, happened actually late last week. We also haven't talked about just the 16.0 update. So the newer one is 16.0.3, and this was a small server-side update that hit Hearthstone late last week. It fixed some bugs. It removed Dragon Ball Poacher and Lightforge Zealot from Arena, and it moved Primal Fin Lookout to Tavern Tier 4 in Battlegrounds. We'll dig more into that in our new Battleground segment, which now I am praying to God is actually the bumper that I think it is.
Well, it worked before the show, didn't it? So it's all good, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh, no, wait, you sent me that sound file. Maybe it didn't work. Dun, dun, dun.
Bum, bum, bum. No, it did work before the show. But yeah, we got, it was cool. It was a server-side update, so it's like we didn't have to, it just happened.
Yes.
I remember, and I would still like them to post this to the official site because I was trying to find it, and then I had to dig back through. I think it was posted to Reddit originally.
Yeah, they've been. So I'm kind of two minds of this because we're going to talk in a second about nerfs that are coming, which were also just posted to Reddit. They're not actually. We haven't been told any details, but I find that they're communicating more, which is good. But it's harder to find those communications because I mean sometimes it's a tweet, sometimes it's Reddit, sometimes it's on the official site. I wish that they did more. Even if they had the Twitter feed somewhere on the site next to news or something, that could be a fix. But it's hard to find the information sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. But I like these changes. We'll again talk more about the Permafin lookout change when we get to Battlegrounds. And so let's just move right into the announcement that nerfs are coming. They are not here yet. We kind of talked a little bit about it at the top of the show. To my nitpick about, I wish the 16.0.3 update thing was actually on the official site. An announcement of an announcement like this is, hey, nerfs are coming. They're not here yet. We have nothing to tell you, but they are coming next week, which is what CM Chris Adelis posted to our Hearthstone last week. That is the kind of thing that feels very much like it belongs on the subreddit.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah, okay. I can agree with you there that this is an announcement of an announcement. It is very much posted in the place that was the most up in arms about Shaman. And so I think you're right. Like, this is the portion of the community that they probably wanted to reach with this announcement, because I've definitely seen a lot of the Shaman hate, or not Shaman hate, but Shaman anger has died down a little bit, knowing that a balance update is coming so quickly. So I think that that maybe was the right place. But like I say, even if there was like a ticker that was like a blue tracker and a Twitter or something on the main site somewhere. So like I had one place to go that was like, here's everything that we have officially posted. That would it would make my life easier. But maybe being a podcaster and wanting all my news in one place is just, my very specific life ask.
Yeah. Folks in our Patreon Discord were like, no, I know this happened, but I can't find it. And it was someone linked it. And I think it was Cheesy Bob. It's just like, oh, foolish me for assuming it'd be on the official website. So
yeah.
There's something that just put it in my mind. Again, it's a very small nitpick thing for me, but so the nerfs are coming. We don't know what they are. It only singles out Shaman, but it sure as hell sounds like not just Shaman will be affected by the balance changes.
Mm-hmm.
Considering the wording here. So,
yep.
And we haven't had a chance to talk about the new shop that came in with the 16.0 patch. We can now buy wild packs for gold in game. Hallelujah.
Yeah, that's really huge. That's something the community has been asking for a very long time, and people really didn't understand why you couldn't. And I think this is just yet another thing in 2019. Excuse me. This is another thing in 2019 that people can kind of point to and say, see, this is what we mean by, the team feels like it's got a new direction. They're a lot more agile. And because originally the at least line that we were getting from Team 5 was, we can't make wild packs available for gold. It'll be too confusing. People won't understand that there's two different ladders, blah, 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 blah. Don't want to confuse the new players. No one will understand. So it seems like they're just kind of going back on a lot of stuff that they've said in the previous years, and they're just like, nah, all right, you want wild packs for gold? Sure, here, have a new shop. So I'm happy with this change. I'm happy for people who maybe don't have all the wild packs that they wanted, but are free to play and didn't necessarily want to jump in to standard or spend a lot of money or whatever. So this change is awesome. I'm glad they finally did it. I'm a little sad we didn't get to talk about the new shop though, because Magni, Medivh, and Illyria, the hero cards, are all gone now. So you can't buy them anymore, which, I mean, they've been out since, when did were those 2014 things or 2015 things?
I want to say
anyways,
15.
It's been years.
Honestly, do not know.
Yeah.
They've been in forever. I'm frankly surprised we haven't had like 30 more new heroes.
Because it was just the three of them for so long.
Yeah, and then we got some promotions here and there. I was starting to think they would all be promotions, but Sylvanas is now in there for $10, US anyway. So clearly it's not all going to be promotion. And also Tyrande is back. You can claim her for free in the new shop right now. Go and do that if you didn't already get Tyrande, because why would you want to be Anduin?
This is a good question. Tyrande is the best priest hero, period.
Without a doubt. Without a
Yeah.
doubt. And by all means.
Sylvanas is the best hunter. I'm sorry, Illyria. I love you. You were for a long time, but your sister is better.
Sylvanas is so much cooler.
Yeah. She
So
totally
much
is.
cooler. Sorry, Illyria. Again. Very sorry. Your boyfriend's boring.
Poor Turallion.
Turallion is boring, man. I'm sorry. It's just like, I am a less interesting Uther. All right, Turallion. Get out of here.
True.
Get out of here. Where's Uther? Where is he? All right. Yeah, I need to get Sylvanas, by the way, especially since I think I'm going to be playing some Hunter in this meta, Joss.
Yeah, it seems like. And Garrett, I almost started this off the top of the show, but I managed to hold back my excitement. I played the Tavern Brawl, and I got my Winter Veil gingerbread card back, and all is right in the world.
Ah, congratulations.
Yes.
Congratulations, Jocelyn. That was the only card back you were missing.
Yes, yeah. Outside of like, you know, a couple of the single player ones, like I never got the Rosticon one because I will not play it. Actually, I probably should play it now. I feel like I have voted with my playtime. It's been a year. I can probably go in and get that card back now.
I agree with you, but I think it'll probably feel bad now because it doesn't have Bob. Which isn't just like, is not just a setting up, a teeing up of how awesome Bob is, which Bob is truly awesome, but also the whole mechanic of being able to manipulate your deck list as you're going through the single player adventure.
100%. It's going to be an even worse experience than it would have been a year ago. But at the same time, I mean, I can do it now without feeling like I'm telling Hearthstone that I like it. So yeah, I don't have the Rosticon stuff because I was refusing to play it.
We were pretty grumpy last year when it came out. I think it's about a 50-50 chance that it would be a worse experience. Because if you went into it last year when you were as grumpy as you were, and I was, I'm not saying just you were grumpy.
Yeah, no, I was just very grumpy.
Oh, this is so repetitive. I've done this already. I don't care. But yes.
Yeah, there's that. And then obviously the Golden Celebration card back I don't have. I do actually have all of the promotional card backs now, though, because I did get a Samsung cell phone. So I had the Samsung card back I have now and the iPhone card back. And yeah, so I've pretty much filled out my collection. Yeah, with just a couple of holes now, mostly to do with the single player. So and stuff that's just not obtainable. I do have the Dollar on Flame though. I've had that for quite a while.
I do too. That's still one of my favorites. That was one of those elusive ones I was very happy to get.
Yep.
So yeah, new shop, very cool. And also, of course, I think it's very difficult to argue with. We would like more ways to give you money. I don't know how you argue that, and clearly they agree. Because now
you know what else I'm missing actually, and I'm a little ticked off about it because of how many championships I've attended at BlizzCon. I don't have the the card back for going to an esport event. And I don't know if that's like esport events outside of Hearthstone or how you are supposed to get that, but I don't have it. There's like the Power Core card back, but then there's a second one that they put in when they took esports or when they took the championship out of BlizzCon. And I don't actually know how you obtain it. All it says is you have
DreamHack. You used to work on Hearthstone DreamHack events. How do you not have that?
I don't have it.
How?
I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know how you get
strange.
it. I don't know. Yeah, that's one that every time I'm clicking through my collection, I'm always like, I don't know how to fill this hole, but if you guys want your Winter Veil card back, you can go in and get it. You have to play the Tavern Brawl, though, very specifically, starting December 11th, going until I don't know when, but just go do it now. It's the only time I'll ever tell you to play Tavern Brawl.
Finally, this is just one of the things that we kind of missed in our coverage of Descent of Dragons up into it. Joss, we haven't talked about the fact that when the solo adventure does come for Descent of Dragons, it's going to bring with it 35 new cards.
Yeah, that was kind of huge news, right?
Yes, and we were just staring down the barrel of 40 plus cards to review on our last episode that we were just like, huh? What now?
Yeah.
So that's
this
massive.
Is really cool. Yeah, and it's going back to the way that adventures used to kind of play out. And this is really, really cool because it seems like they've kind of been doing something different to mix up the meta 6 weeks in. They've kind of they've been doing stuff. They've been doing the events with Rise of the Mech. We had the Doom in the Tomb. Like those events have kind of shaken up the meta and changed how we play things and stuff so that things don't get stale. And what better way to do that than go old school with your adventures and add cards into the mix in a time when we're not used to them happening. So I think this is a really cool idea. I love these events that shake things up, even if it means that we get 2 months of Evolve. Maybe that one went along too long, but these are going to be cards that are actually available all the time. So I think that's neat.
Yeah, and Discord is taking a server dump, so I'm going to change servers.
Are we fixed now? Because, yeah.
Oh, you started to sound like you were melting.
Oh, no.
It was wonderful. It started slowing your voice down.
New cards are amazing.
I mean, you didn't need to do that because we just heard that. That was a remarkable recreation of how bad Discord just sounded for a second. But yeah, it's crazy. They haven't announced how much it's going to cost. I'm curious if the price is going to go up since we're going to get cards. I mean, we got cards in the past, but now we're getting like unique cards. And I think that's worth more personally. I don't want to spend more, but I could see the price going up. So we'll reserve judgment until we actually know what's going on there. So anyways, before we get into our brand new Battlegrounds segment, we have one more sponsor to thank today. We'll be right back. Taking one more break today to thank our other sponsor, MeUndies. That's right. And Joss and I are both here to talk about our underwear publicly.
As we love to do from time to time.
It's particularly great during the holiday season. And like even for both of us, because it's freezing cold where you are and it is pretty warm where I am. So you get to take advantage of MeUndies loungewear and onesies. And I get to just hang out in my MeUndies underpants and nothing else because it's still sweltering in Florida.
On the list of visuals I didn't need, Sweaty Garrett in his MeUndies.
Oh, I know you don't want to visualize it, and I'm pretty sure Katie doesn't either, but I'm sure somebody out there listening is like, I like imagining Festive Garrett in his underpants. But you don't have to imagine me in it. You can be in your own festive underpants because MeUndies has such fun freaking patterns. Head on over to MeUndies.com/TAC and check them out. You're also going to get 15% off your first pair. You're also going to get free shipping and a 100% satisfaction guarantee when you go to MeUndies.com/TAC. Again, check it out. MeUndies.com/TAC and get some festive underpants. Or, slippers or onesies, or I'm rambling now.
Have a good battle, friend.
Garrett, you muted.
Yes, I am. One of those days. It's one of those days. Welcome, everyone, to our first ever Battlegrounds segment. We obviously have talked about Battlegrounds on the show before, but it kind of seems like the kind of thing that deserves its own damn spot on the show because there's a lot of Battleground stuff to talk about. And so today, we're catching back up. We didn't have a chance to talk about the 16.0 patch and its effect on Hearthstone Battlegrounds last week because, again, we talked about so many cards, my throat hurt at the end of the show, and I really needed tea. But it was an insane patch, Joss. We got 3 new heroes with Edwin Van Cleef, Sylvanas Windrunner, and Archvillain Rafam. 2 of those are really good. 1 is broken, and Sylvanas is kind of lame.
Yeah, which makes me sad because she's so cool as a hero card. But yeah, not so much in Battlegrounds. But Rafam, man.
Rafam is
disgusting.
Broken, and I can't believe he hasn't been nerfed.
Yeah.
Like I saw Chris's tweet. That's how I found out about the server side patch that went up last week. And so I saw him tweet that a change had gone up and it involved Battlegrounds, and my brain immediately went, good, they nerfed Rafam. And I went and I'm like, what do you mean the only thing you did was move Primal Fin Lookout to a different tier? To me, Rafam just seems busted, man. As a matter of fact, to make the damn Battlegrounds bumper today, I had to go and source sound clips from Battlegrounds because I couldn't find any websites that had extracted sounds, which is what I usually do when I make bumpers instead of doing the work myself. And so I was like, well, I guess I got to play a game of Battlegrounds. And I got Rafam and I got first place, and I was like half paying attention because I was sitting there making timestamps of certain sounds that I liked that I wanted to include in the bumper. And it was like the most effortless first place I think I've ever gotten in freaking Hearthstone Battlegrounds. So he's just super freaking strong. If you, for some reason have not tried him yet. His hero power is a 1 gold activatable, and it means next combat, you add a plain copy of the first minion you kill to your hand. And now it is unbuffed. It is not a golden copy, even if you end up killing a buffed or a golden copy of a minion. But good Lord, Jocelyn.
Like, it doesn't matter.
when they announced this, my brain went, I'm gonna steal a curator amalgam token. And that's exactly what I did the very first time I played Rafam. And it just worked like that. And it's silly.
It really, really is. And I mean, you're getting free minions first and foremost, which is just good, right? Because you don't have to worry about, you can kind of flood the board. You don't have to worry about the cost. Like you just get cards. That's good. And not to mention that, but they're not totally random. They are what your opponent has deemed a good card and spent their gold on, which means that you're not getting any of the chuff. You're not just getting, a random one from that tavern tier or anything like that. It's like your opponent spent their gold and made that choice. And so it kind of is a little bit like Rat King in that way, because you kind of have to maybe adjust your strategy based on what other people are doing. But with the copies, you're not even being restricted by how many are available in a given tavern tier. It's gross. It's crazy. I can't believe that it came out like this.
Yeah. I mean, the exception obviously is if your opponent is counterplaying you, and specifically putting a less than desirable minion first up in the queue to increase the likelihood that they will die first. Which is fine, but you're still giving them a gold.
Yeah, exactly. You're still giving them something. So that's the thing. At the very worst, assuming you get an absolute trash minion that you'll never use, your hero power basically costs 0 because you just have to play it out and sell it, and then you get the gold back. So, I mean, the only time that becomes an issue is late game when you don't have the room on your board to be selling things.
Yeah. Absolutely. So
yeah,
extremely good. MMA Cleaves is another 1 gold. It's give a minion +1/+1 for each minion you bought this turn. This is also crazy powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sylvanas is it's free, but you have to remove a friendly minion and you give adjacent minions +1/+1, which, listen, I've played some Sylvanas games since she's been introduced because I would rather pick her over other heroes. It's not the worst hero power in the world, but it has a feel bad. It just always feels bad. It's always like, is it the right call? Do I need the buff? Like it's pretty strong in early to mid game because you can start really buffing up your minions consistently, especially if you're not hitting those battle cry buffs. It kind of lets you fight. But boy,
that's the strategy where this kind of works, right? Is where you're leaving a space open on your board anyways, because you want to be trying to do battle cry things. So this is like, if you're going down that battle cry strategy route, then this kind of adds to that, but it pushes you down that path right from the get-go because of her power, because you want to be constantly selling back a minion. And the battle cry strategy is the one that works the best alongside her. But you can't always do that. Sometimes your opponents just, make that impossible. So
yeah. This is another one of those heroes that I think leans on the draft more than you typically would like.
Yeah.
Because the power level of +1/+1 buff, which essentially is a +2/+2 buff, as long as you have 3 minions on board, that starts to really drop off in the late game.
Yeah.
As to how much value that's bringing to any given scenario. But whatever the case is, I don't mind Sylvanas. I think she's a little on the boring side, and every time I remove a minion and don't get a gold back for it, I'm just like, ooh, that hurts a little bit. But I've gotten quite a couple top 4s with Sylvanas. Not the worst hero in the world. So when they came in, also Patches left, Bartendertron, Pyramid, Professor Putricide, and Trade Prince Gallywix all left as well. We also got Maleficent, Manastorm, and Lich Baziel back. Maleficent got a little nerfed, and Lich Baziel got a little buffed. I think Baziel feels a lot better now that her hero power doesn't cost so much damn life.
Yeah, the ticking of 2 damage instead feels a little bit better than 3 damage. 3 damage, I mean, you're almost losing 10 health just pushing that button 3 times, which is basically the coins to get an extra minion, right? But you can push that button 5 times to lose about the same amount of mana, so or about the same amount of life. So, and then you've also got, almost 2 minions for that. So it feels a whole lot better, I think, overall. So she was so terrible. And especially we still don't have any healing, right? So Yeah, she was pretty terrible.
Yeah, it was on the rough side for sure. And then Maleficent Manastorm lost the +1 health passive to all mechs. Now it's just +1 attack to all mechs in Bob's Tavern, which is still solid. I'm not as over the moon with my previous Battlegrounds wife that was Maleficent Manastorm, but I wouldn't mind taking her. I haven't played as much Battlegrounds as I was playing, obviously, because Descent of Dragons has come, and I already like Shaman, and so you hand me literally the best deck in the game under Shaman, and I'm going to play a lot of Hearthstone. Ladder, that is.
Yes.
So I haven't honestly had probably that many chances to get Maleficent Manastorm, but I think I've only had her offered like maybe 2 or 3 times in the games I have played, and she was up against heroes I'd rather play. So still happy to pick her. Obviously, also King Bagurgle and Floating Watcher came in. King Bagurgle, great minion. Totally pushing Murlocs maybe a little higher than they needed to go, which is why I think we saw Primal Fin Lookout get moved up to tier 4, because Murlocs were already doing really well. And as a matter of fact, HS Replay just a few days ago tweeted out like an infographic they put together that showed what the winningest tribes were in winning game states. And it was something crazy, like 40,000 some odd games that these statistics came from, and Murlocs were handily on top as like the highest win rate on like game winning boards was the Murloc tribe.
I think their tribal like the caveat to all of that was that you had to have, was it 3 or more of 2 or more, okay, of that tribe, which means obviously amalgams count towards everything. And you basically, if you've got a couple of amalgams, that would have been enough to count towards everything.
Well,
but
amalgam
also,
was on the infographic, which makes me assume, I don't have.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay. I don't have it in front of me. I didn't remember, but yeah. So I mean, if you're looking at just Murlocs, like you could just have 2 and have them both as poisonous, but be playing another tribe. So I think Murlocs probably get not boosted stats, but it's something to remember that because Murlocs are easy to make poisonous, some people run just a Murloc or 2 alongside whatever their other strategy is.
Yeah, I just pulled it up real fast. So yeah. According to HS Replay, and this again was from 41,000 lobby wins, the Murloc had a 47% win rate and change. Mech came in at 33%. None came in at 28%. We were talking to our friends over at HS Replay earlier, and they said they don't have hard numbers, but they're pretty sure when they were looking at the statistics, none were things like Bran and Baron and Lightfang.
I feel like Baron and like Death Rattle stuff, and actually the Divine Shield stuff. I find both of those playstyles to be really, really fun.
Yeah, I do too, because I keep getting the Farian for some reason, so I love ruining your Divine Shields. Please keep going down that route, because I have had multiple...
But then see, you pop my Divine Shields, and then, my Bolvars are like, flex.
Yeah, true. Very fair. But yeah, and then...
poor demons, though. Poor demons.
Poor demons, indeed. This is another one of those things, though, where it's like, obviously, there's a lot more RNG involved in Battlegrounds, but Demons, it's the thing where I kind of look at high skill cap decks and go, Demons, I think, are way harder to draft correctly, but you also have to get
and they get so wrecked by poisonous, right?
Yeah,
so
they do.
And since you've got, some random stuff and everything else, like if one of your like super big booty demons gets hit with a poisonous, and that was, what was kind of carrying you through some of the other matchups, then yeah, especially with the, like, look at Murlocs, they're almost 50%, right? So if you've got Murlocs, which are easy to make poisonous, you've got them lining up against demons, which their biggest like plus is that they have so much health and they can survive when other things die. When you've got poisonous as prolific as it is, demons just don't have much of a chance. Yeah. Unfortunately.
No, they do not. Again, though, I think it's also worth mentioning. It's a roundabout way to correctly draft demons, and you're getting pretty low, so you need to get, there's some more luck involved, I think, more than most. So just keep all of that in mind. But I do think demon needs some help. Maybe they consider adding like a unique keyword, something like what would we call it if it was like poisonous doesn't affect this, anti-venom. let's bring anti-venom in as a keyword, Jocelyn, to Battlegrounds only.
I would love Battlegrounds only stuff like that. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
I could definitely get on even if they made that like a hero power.
Yeah. Or like, I would also love to see something like a temporary hero immunity, like a half measure to mitigating the loss of life from playing demons. So like a Mal'Ganis-esque effect, but maybe you throw it on a demon as a battle cry. Like the turn you play this, your hero is immune, as opposed to
that would be cool.
Constant like Mal'Ganis, because Mal'Ganis comes on so late, and by then you've already lost a lot of life. So I don't know, something kind of mid-tier, like maybe around the 3-star range, that could like buy you at least a turn of invulnerability to really just like go ham on the self-damaging effects.
Yeah, I really like that idea. I think there's ways to fix demons, but I do hope that in the next patches we figure out, or they figure out a way to fix demons a little bit. Because that 8%, man, if you took the demon win rate away from the Murloc win rate, they would still be the highest win rate tribe, which is just wrong and bad. And poor demons. We also had a couple of other balance changes, right? So Lightfang Enforcer was nerfed a little bit.
Yeah, instead of a +2/+2, Lightfang Enforcer now gives a +1 or a +2/+1 buff. Still good. It's just, I think it's it always felt like you needed Lightfang Enforcer pretty early on to really get maximum value, obviously, because it just keeps stacking the longer you have Lightfang Enforcer. Now it's just even a little bit more, but if you find an early Lightfang Enforcer, grab it. Love of God, like unless you're like really just going like hard on a single tribe where you're not going to get a lot of buffing out of Lightfang Enforcer, I think it's fine. I think, frankly, I think it's just balanced now. It's significantly more balanced than it was before, in my opinion.
We also had some changes to some heroes, so other than the ones we talked about already.
Yeah. Patchwork was nerfed. 10 health.
I guess one of his arms fell off or something. That stitching came apart.
I mean, would that affect your health if you're undead? Like, I don't think the arm is a critical area. Maybe a few more stitches on his stomach opened up, because I feel like that's more vital.
Okay, yeah.
If we're gonna
I just, you know me, I have to write a story about all these changes in my head.
Yeah.
This is one that just jumped right out at me. Like, he's falling apart.
That's why we're friends.
Poor Patchwork.
That's ridiculous. AFK also, you still skip your first 2 turns. However, now you're going to start with a minion from Tavern Tier 3 for both of your discovers. So you're going to discover 2 Tier 3 minions. You don't get a Tier 3 and a Tier 4. I think, honestly, I'm not even sure this is a nerf, because there's so many good picks from Tier 3 that...
Yeah, except, are the Cobalt Guardians, are they 3s or 4s?
Those are 3s, I believe. Yes, those are 3s, which is why I kind of like this even better, because it increases my chances of finding an early Cobalt Guardian. Or high rolling and getting 2.
You could get 2 conceivably, exactly, and that's kind of the point that I was going to make, is that like Cobalt Guardian might be one of the things I'd like to see bumped up a tier, move that to 4, because I feel like they're just super duper good, like all of the time. A
significant number of mechs. You have Cobalt Guardian, which is like S tier, windmill slam it, just pick it and go.
Yeah.
But then you have a pretty high chance of having a mech to deploy with your Cobalt Guardian, so that it starts with Divine Shield, because you can pick up a Shredder, you can pick up a Psychotron, or you can pick up a Replicating Menace. And I know a lot of us don't do this, but you can consider playing the Replicating Menace as a minion instead of as a magnetic. And then, because you want that death rattle on the board if you have a Cobalt Guardian. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. You can't get the Rover and Guardian high roll anymore, but I mean, you could still get double Guardians, which is kind of a new high roll, I guess. But yeah, Tavern Tier 3 overall just has a lot of really powerful minions that you can get. So there were some real low rolls in Tavern Tier 4. So I think that getting 2 3s, you're right, Garrett. I'm not even sure that this is a nerf. It's more so just like a change.
Yeah. There's a lot of solid buff minions at 4, but they're not solid if that's what you're starting with. Like getting a Defender of Argus is not that great. Menagerie Magician, not the most exciting thing in the world. I mean, the 4/4 stats on a Menagerie Magician can likely win you your turn 3. But like, my God, the amount of times where I've just like been staring at a Fester Root Hulk going, why God? Why game gods? Why do I have to look at this? Or Toxfin. Toxfin usually feels bad. Because, oh my God, like 3-star, there is no Murloc. So you found a Toxfin and you're like, well now what? I can't do anything with this. So, although I guess Primal Fin Lookout previously was down there, but then it was like, well, do I not want to get my Primal Fin Lookout battle cry, or do I not want to get my poisonous battle cry? Because I'm starting with these 2 minions and only one is going to actually trigger off the Murloc. So, yeah, I think that's a negligible change, arguably a buff in my mind on AFK. Then Rat King, whenever you hire a beast, give it +1/+2 swaps each turn. Now it's whenever you hire a beast, give it +1/+1 swaps type each turn. So now it's +1/+1 instead of +1/+2.
Which is really good, I think, because part of the reason he was so great is that health is just so important, especially in the early game. So you could be getting some damage in on your opponents just because your minions would survive with like 1 health after all your trades and stuff. So I think that, dropping that health is going to bring him back in line in the early to mid game. And I think that was really important because he would just get such a head start. Yeah, and it just became compounded the more we all learned how to play Battlegrounds, which was, did you get a token? Take the token generator so that you actually play an economy game come turn 3. And they're just, those token generators are probably not going to get through anything that got a +2 health buff on turn 1. Probably. Trying to think if there's probably something there that's you actually would win or at least tie. But anyway, doesn't matter. Really increases your chances. And so clearly they've been stripping health out of buffs quite a bit. Looking at what happened with Mana Storm, doesn't surprise me here on Rat King. Rat King still amazing. And at Kazamzarak, they apparently changed the dice roll so that it will now be harder to get Ice Block consecutively. They also removed Hand of Salvation as a possible secret. That's really good. I finally picked Akazam on purpose. And how did it go? On purpose. Ice Block alone got me a top 4 because I did not get a particularly great draft, and because of Ice Block, I made top 4. So there is something. Well, you can still get it, right? You just can't get it turn after turn after turn. So yeah, well, and there's still a chance. They made it more difficult for those chances to be high, but it could still happen. So you're saying there's a chance. I've come around Akazam. I think Akazam is like right down the middle. Like there's quite a few heroes I would take Akazam over. So I like all of these changes. And also we now have advanced stats. If you've purchased 10 or more Descent of Dragons packs, you have access to it. It's a beautiful stat screen, Jocelyn. I love this thing. Lots of stuff to look at. Find out how many, like who your most played heroes are, who your most played heroes with wins are. It's great. I really like it. We should also mention purchasing packs doesn't mean with real money. You can purchase with gold too. It's basically acquiring packs will eventually unlock all of the unlockables within Battlegrounds. So that also includes like the ability to pick from 3 heroes instead of 2 and so on. So yeah, you don't have to spend money. Battlegrounds is still totally free, but these bonuses will come if you spend even gold on those Descent of Dragons packs. So yeah, get in there. Yeah. And I would say, do you like it? Spend a little money, support the game. Why not? Right? Well, there is that, but some people are free to play, and then, that's okay. Yeah, I could see myself being I can totally understand if I hadn't played Hearthstone before that, like coming to it because of Battlegrounds and that being the only mode I play. Like I could completely see myself in that scenario had I just not gotten on board in the beginning. And it's like, yeah, why not? I'll throw a few bucks. This is like why I spend money in heroes, because I have everything. I don't need to, but I want to support the game. So every now and then I buy a thing or two in there. So anyways, so that's that for the patch. And I'm really enjoying Battlegrounds right now. I'm not, again, playing as much of it as I was because I'm rather enjoying the upheaval in the meta because of Descent of Dragons over on Standard Ladder. But I still have the itch, Joss. I still have the itch. I would have been very okay if they were like, sorry, Descent of Dragons is delayed a month. I would have been like, oh, darn, as I click the Q another Battlegrounds button. Yeah. I find I'm using Battlegrounds to kind of like when I'm playing big stretches on ladder, I still do the thing where once I start to lose, then I walk away for a bit. And it used to be I'd like go play WoW and do some dailies or something like that. But now I'm just like, okay, I need to take a breather from standard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to queue a Battlegrounds game. And that's enough to like reset my mindset. And then I go back into standard. So it's created this like really good stay in Hearthstone gameplay loop for me. And yeah, I'm really glad they released it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, because and it's not true for everyone. I'm sure somebody doesn't like any other mode than one. But for me, I wasn't the biggest Wild fan in the world. And usually when I would go into Wild, it would be for like almost a whole season. It would just be what I played because I was just kind of done with standard. It's very rare that I'm playing standard and Wild simultaneously. It's not a thing I really do. And I've never been big on arena. So mostly Hearthstone was a standard ladder game for me. And when I was not in the mood for it, I just really more often than not didn't play Hearthstone. But now, much like you, yeah, I'm finding I'm spending probably double the amount of time in the game because I really want to play Battlegrounds. It also came at a time where I was getting that auto chess itch again. And I was like, all right, I'm finally going to play a Riot game. I'm going to give Teamfight Tactics a try. And then I went to BlizzCon. And they were like, yo, Battlegrounds. And I'm like, never mind. Still not playing Riot games. Okay.
Take that, Riot.
Nothing against them other than
I know.
I had a very bad experience the first time I played League of Legends. But that's just because their community is toxic.
Yeah. I am going to take a second here to actually correct the chat room because I think you guys are way off base. So chat room is basically saying we were talking about unlockables and they're saying that you need to repurchase every expansion. It does not say that. When we were at BlizzCon, all the messaging was that you buy the stuff from the latest expansion. Now in the client, it says purchase Descent of Dragons packs to unlock your unlockables in Battlegrounds. Nowhere does it say that that's ever going to reset. The only possible time that they might reset things is because it is technically a beta still. But as I was saying, that you can buy packs with gold. It doesn't have to be real money. The packs that you earn also count. So all the free packs that they give you as part of the expansion launching, as well as the stuff you earn from quests, everything else, all of that counts too. So chat room, I'm really sorry, but I think you're just straight up wrong. And I think you're reading into this stuff with like really pessimistic glasses because you're saying it's implied one way where I read it the total opposite way. So
I thought it did reset. Are you saying it doesn't reset?
I don't think so. They haven't said anywhere. Does it? I don't know. They haven't said anywhere. So I'm going to assume it wouldn't. It's something I've done and unlocked. So
that would be a horrible business decision.
You can. I agree. But I mean, they haven't said that it doesn't. So
I'm pretty sure they did. It's just that I don't have.
I don't think so.
I don't have the fact. Okay, you don't have the facts in front of you, and I don't either. So we're on equal footing.
But yeah, the earned packs though from quests and stuff still also counts, which again is free.
Yeah, didn't we say that? I thought we already said that. I didn't think that was up for debate.
Well, I said gold or money, obviously, but yeah, gotcha. Free packs count too. And if they're gonna give you free packs for playing the game, then they're basically giving you the unlockables too, right?
Well, eventually, right? You're not going
everyone seems to be getting really mad, and I'm just like, well, why?
Well, yeah, I don't know why you'd be mad about it, even if it did reset, because 20 packs, because the only thing that affects your gameplay is a third option of a hero, which unlocks the 20 packs.
Right.
So I'm trying to find the announcement on the official website because I thought that's where they mentioned it. But I was not prepared for this, so I don't have it at my fingertips.
Yeah, chat room was just seeming to get a little bit upset when we were talking about unlockables and saying that you're arg. I have to pay for things. You don't have to pay for things.
You might, though, yeah, eventually you could get it for free, but you're not going to get, well, I mean, yeah, if you save up your gold, I guess day one, it'd be absolutely feasible to have 20 packs ready to go.
Well, not even saving up your gold, because with all the free stuff that they give away and for watching on Twitch and for all the quests and stuff, like you just straight up through those quests get, I think I want to say like 15 packs just from like doing the daily quests and stuff that have opened up the legendary quests. So, I mean, that's already you're 5 packs away from, or you're halfway through your unlockables just straight up by completing your quests that give you packs. So,
yeah, and I'm with you on that. I'm just, now we're trying to talk in absolutes, and I don't have all of the original information in front of me.
I'm sorry, Garrett.
Yeah.
Do you want to just do a crazy game story and we could just say screw this whole conversation?
No, because I finally found it.
Okay.
Once Battlegrounds makes its way to Hearthstone, it will be accessible through a new modes button, blah, 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 blah. While access to Battlegrounds will be completely free for everyone with a Hearthstone account, players who have acquired packs of the most recent Hearthstone expansion through any means will have access to the following. Yeah, and it does say quests, gold purchases, bundles, events, etc. will have access to the following Battlegrounds. The fact that it specifies most recent Hearthstone expansion is why I just assume it will reset.
Right. And I assume it won't because I've already unlocked it.
Okay. All right. So my point is we are both assuming we don't have hard facts. So we're both equally as likely to be wrong or right.
Fair enough.
Cool. Wondrous. But yeah, it's not a lot of money and potentially no money.
Yeah.
So very potentially no money. So.
Well, 100% no money because you never have to spend money on those packs.
Yeah.
There's a way to get 30 packs if you're playing the game. So
yes.
You don't ever have to spend money to play Battlegrounds.
Correct.
Which is the larger point I was making.
Yes. 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 You know me, though. I get tripped up on hard statements. So, anyways, crazy game stories. Let's go.
Is the whole world gone crazy?
You're in trouble now.
You got it!
You, consider Crazy Game Stories at tacpodcast@gmail.com, or if you're a patron, drop them in the patron Discord. The TF boy writes in this week. TF like Team Fortress or Tree Fort.
I like to think of it as Tree Fort.
Townfolk, the Townfolk boy. I like that one. Writes, Dear Fierce Fowls, I am a Galakron warrior deck facing up against a Quest Galakron shaman. For most of the early game, we remained fairly even on tempo, trading back and forth while poking at each other's health. My opponent is able to finish his quest by turn 6. However, he is not able to get his Galakron rolling as fast. I, on the other hand, am invoking turn after turn, and by turn 9, mine is ready to go. I play my fully invoked Galakron, which draws 4 minions, those being Eternium Rover, Shield of Galakron, Zilliax, and Deathwing. Oh god, Zilliax. And Deathwing Mad Aspect. I have an empty board and my opponent has a small board of tokens and lackeys, but I say crush the weak, and I hero power and send it right upstairs, taking the shaman from 25 to 17. My opponent is not having any of it. First comes the hero power into a Swamp Queen Hagatha, getting himself 2 horrors to save for later. Then comes a Titanic Lackey onto her, giving the Swamp Queen 9 health and taunt. The shaman ends their turn thinking that will be enough, but I say Cataclysm and play my 16/16 Deathwing onto the board, managing to kill everything and anything that was ever on the board and surviving at 2 health. I end my turn by using my hero power and sending the last charge of my weapon to my opponent's face for another 8, setting him to 9 health. Passing the turn back to the shaman, a quick hero power and a Sandstorm Elemental does deal with the Deathwing. However, determined as he can be, my opponent decides to build the wall by playing one of the horrors that he built, casting Rain of Toads and Feral Spirits. A greeting, friend, is said, and his turn ends. I didn't know I wasn't prepared to have to do all these impressions. Staring at a board mostly full of taunts would frighten most people, but I say, you are too late. His return is nigh. Because my boy Kronks has my back. I love Kronks. Kronks is my boy too. Townfolk boy. My opponent just sits there looking at his cards, and that's when it hits me. Oh, sorry, I jumped ahead. After my boy Kronks was back, he continued writing. We burn the whole board of everything it has, and with the help of my Ritual Chopper and another hero power, we hit him again for 7, setting him down to just 2 health. Eager to see what else he could try to put in the way of the mighty Galakron, I pass the turn. To my surprise, nothing happens. My opponent just sits there looking at his cards, and that's when it hit me. I look over to my opponent's mana bar to see that has 0 mana available to use. My opponent had 11 overloaded mana crystals because he played his horror after using the double Battlecry hero power and the Sandstorm Elemental, even though the board was too full to add any more taunts to it in an enormous error. I proclaimed as the enemy shaman explodes into a million pieces. Looks like he was the one who paid for that wall. Oh my God. All hail Galakron the Unbreakable. P.S. Love the show. Keep the good work. Also, the episode with Regis was one of my favorite episodes ever. Would love to see him more often. Regis has an open invitation to the Angry Chicken. And I would love to have him on when it's not going to be a 2.5 hour mega episode.
Absolutely.
So he doesn't probably leave going, my God, I'm never doing that again. That was really long. But no, Regis was awesome. That was a good episode. This story was ridiculous. And I hoped that wasn't where you were going joke-wise, but that's where you went. Good job. Good job, TF boy. Good job. Made the town folk must be so proud. Oh, Lord. You got me. You got me. I don't read these ahead of time so I can have a real reaction, and that's absurd. So thank you for that. And now let's wrap it up with a question, email, or two.
Hello?
Hello, it's me.
Hello.
Just quickly, did you get my message?
Yep.
Oh.
Hello, brother.
Send your emails to the same place, tagpodcast@gmail.com, or drop them in the patron Discord. All patrons have access. Pie, the rationalist of pies, writes in and says, do you think all of the tech cards in the set were meant for specialists? We know the lead time on cards is pretty long, and specialist was supposed to be the future of competitive Hearthstone. I think it's very plausible. But we've also seen tech cards like this in the past.
We definitely have seen tech cards like this in the past, but we saw such a surge in Descent of Dragons that it wouldn't surprise me. I guess I can put it that way, because you're right. The lead time on cards is really long, and maybe they didn't realize how the pro community wouldn't really respond to Specialist. And it's kind of unfortunate that Specialist didn't launch alongside Descent of Dragons, because I think maybe even if they'd launched Specialist, like, or if Descent of Dragons was like where Rostacon's Rumble was last year or something like that, if we were going into Specialist format now, I think this expansion does feel like it would have been great. I think we said that a lot of times in the card reviews too, that some of the cards really felt like they would do well in Specialist, and we don't have the esports announcements for next year. So we don't actually know what competitive Hearthstone is going to look like next year. And I'm still holding out hope that we'll have more of a diverse ecosystem within competitive Hearthstone. I would love to see, if they're going to stick with the Grandmasters format, something along the lines of like 1 week they play Last Hero Standing, the next week they play Conquest, and then they play Specialists. Like, I would like to see them kind of mix it up so that Grandmasters doesn't feel the same week over week over week. And then I think Specialists could really come back into play and would be interesting when it wasn't the only thing that we had to watch. And then you could make use of some of these tech cards that showed up in Descent of Dragons, because I think that, Descent of Dragons is a really, really cool set, shaman problems notwithstanding, and definitely feels designed for that format specifically, though you can tech things in obviously in other formats, but Specialists really seem to highlight tech cards, and so this set seems like it would have worked really well in that format. I 100% agree.
Yeah, and I mean, we know they more or less work like a year in advance, right? Is kind of when a new set spawns. I think what we're unclear on is like when the talk of Specialist began, or like when it was locked in, because then that might give us a better indication of like how perfectly it lines up. But considering all of the upheaval that happened early in 2019, especially in how it affected the esports team at Hearthstone, which was strongly.
Yes, yeah.
I think this is, again, super plausible. It's where my brain certainly goes. And I agree with a lot of what you said, Joss. I mean, we've been talking about it for a while now, ever since they switched away from Specialist, which is, I think we're on the same page as each other. Is we wouldn't mind seeing it come back, just, as long as it's not the only way we play Hearthstone.
Mm-hmm. And I think because the problem with Specialist is that they were trying to accomplish something, and I really think that they looked at it the wrong way. They wanted competitive Hearthstone to reflect your ladder experience a little bit more, and we wanted that too. But what we wanted was the ladder to change, not competitive Hearthstone to change. We wanted ways to play a series against an opponent with different decks and things like that, and not, different opponents every time with different decks. We wanted to see the ladder change, and it didn't. So we were both sides here, the community and Team 5, wanted the same thing, which was ladder that reflects competitive. We just wanted them to go about it in a different way. So I think there's room for specialists in a more diverse ecosystem of Hearthstone esports, and I would like to see them take advantage of that in the future. I feel like I had another point to make, but I totally can't remember it now, so it obviously doesn't matter.
Yeah. You want to take the next email?
Sure. This one comes to us from Super Sarp, and he says, "Hello, Garrett and Joss. I made a Hearthstone-themed crossword puzzle to celebrate the Year of the Dragon. The boxes highlighted in gray are the themed answers. I filled it in with as many Hearthstone references as I could, including a clue referencing Joss's favorite Paladin secret and another referencing everyone's favorite Furious Fowls. I would love it if you could share it with the TAC community. Love the show. Keep up the good work." So the link is in our show notes. He also went and posted this on Reddit, and it's so freaking cool, you guys. Like, I don't know, I'm not a huge crossword puzzle doer, but I had a quick look at this, and there's some, it's not overly easy, which I thought it would be. So yeah, it's a really cool. I love fan-made content, and I don't often see people doing this kind of thing. So if you guys are interested, the Reddit note is in our show notes. And Super Sarp, thank you so much for writing that in.
Yeah, 13 4 letters across. Baku the Blank Eater. I know this one. It's obvious. It's Baku the Butt Eater.
Okay, Garrett, you go with butt and see how you can fill in the rest of the crossword. I'm interested.
You got it. Just think of it. Nope, none of the actual letters match up. Never mind. Yeah, I would have had a really hard time with that one.
Yep.
Elvic says Baku the Even Eater. That's way more clever.
Yeah.
Way more clever. Yeah, check it out. We got
butts are funny.
Link in the show notes, everybody. Go check it out. That's going to wrap it up for this episode of The Angry Chicken. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Keep the emails coming, tacpodcast@gmail.com, or drop us a message in the patron Discord and skip the inbox entirely. Speaking of Patreon, we can't thank our patrons enough for supporting the podcast. If you like what we do here at The Angry Chicken, you want to help us get new episodes out into the world and spend a lot of time prepping them, head on over to patreon.com/TAC to support the show. You'll get yourself some perks like access to that patron-only Discord and now an ad-free RSS feed of The Angry Chicken. Goes on up. Go check it out. Every level gets access to those perks. Also, thanks to our Patreon producers, Declan H, Sean C, and Cheesy Bob. We really appreciate it, you three. If you want to become a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/TAC. The whole back catalog of episodes is over at amove.tv or over on our YouTube channel, which is, you guessed it, youtube.com/AmoveTV. Go me. You can follow us on Twitter at TAC Podcast and catch us live Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern right here on twitch.tv/AmoveTV. But Jocelyn, you do stuff outside of The Angry Chicken. I know it's insane to think that you do anything other than this, but when you are doing those things, where can folks find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Twitch. I'm at Joss Plays, and we are doing our final extra live stream. It's going to be for about 4-ish, maybe a little bit longer hours this coming Friday night. So again, that is twitch.tv/Joss Plays. Go and check it out. We are raising money for the Children's Miracle Network of Hospitals, and it's a really great cause. It's almost Christmas. If you have anything, please do give, because yeah, we want to brighten up the world of the children.
Yeah, don't be a Grinch. Or if you're going to be a Grinch, be a Grinch at the end of the Grinch, okay? Where he brings all the gifts back and stuff. Maybe don't steal them in the first place. Maybe acquire them legally and then give them. But you know what I'm trying to say. Folks, I'm at Garrett Art on Twitter. All of the podcasts that I do can be found over at amove.tv. Check out Into the Nexus for Heroes of the Storm. Check out Let's Talk About Star Wars. Brand new episode just went up about the latest episode of The Mandalorian. We're going to have a lot of Star Wars to talk about, so you should go check out Let's Talk About Star Wars. And check out my new show, WoW Killer, where Taliesin and I discuss one WoW topic for far too long. Go check it out. That man can talk about World of Warcraft, and so can I. And I was like, one topic. We'll get a good 45 minutes out of it. Nope. 2 hours. 2 hours. Yep. So go check that out anywhere podcasts can be found. That's going to wrap it up for this week's Angry Chicken. We'll be back next Tuesday. But until then, job's done.
Job's done.